Welcome to the third edition of Meet the Gimp. I got my first comment in the blog. Thanks for that. I want to hear from you, and please mail me with questions, with suggestions, and with ideas, or leave a comment at the blog. Rob asks, after some nice stuff about the show, how to get version 2.3 for Windows. He says, maybe it's time to finally switch my desktop over to Linux. Well, that is always the case. It's always time for doing that, but not for using the Gimp. There is a good site in Germany, gimpusers.de, which compiles a list of the newest development versions and where to download them. Just go to gimpusers.de or gimpusers.de and click on Downloads, and there you get this list here. And I think there's no real language barrier here. The download button means download, and Windows means Windows. And so you can go and get your Gimp 2.3.18. And if you had Linux, you could also get the 2.3.18 really ready compiled, or 2.3.19 at the Gimp. You would have to compile that for yourself. It's no big deal, but you have to know what you are doing. The Mac guys have a direct support for that. Just click on the gimp.org and go to gimp.org/Macintosh, and here you have a list with all the options, and here's also a port file for the Gimp 2.3 development version. I don't really know the Mac stuff, and I'll leave it to you to find this out. I'm a teacher, and my school is next to the River Weser in Bremen. And from time to time I can sneak out and take some pictures. This year was in March. The sun was just up for 2 hours or so, and it was foggy, the tide was high, and a ship came round the corner and disturbed some cormorants sitting on the water and resting. Before I start to tinker with this image, I want to pull you over to using RAW for your real photography. If I had shot this image in JPEG, I would have had only 256 steps of brightness for encoding it. You see, it's nearly monochrome. It's a bit bluish greenish tint, and it's basically only gray. And with JPEG you have 256 different values of gray. 0 for black and 255 for white. And in this image there is no white and only a little bit of black, and so only a fraction of this room, of this space, is used. I'll show you how much later. I shot this in RAW, and my camera stores RAW images in 12-bit data format. So I have 12-bit instead of 8-bit, and so 4096 steps of gray instead of 256. And the difference you can see here. This is the image I've got out of the RAW converter after spreading the values, and here I have 256 different values of gray and can start to tinker with them. Here a lot of detail is saved, and something of the mood of the first picture is gone. this is more the stuff I remember than this here. But this image here is a good base for doing post-processing, which results in a picture which has this mood but looks better. So if you can, shoot in RAW. And if you want me to cover RAW converting with an open source tool, or at least, I don't know if open source, at least a free tool available to Windows and Linux, and I think also for Macintosh, then drop me a mail. I've opened the two images in the Gimp, and now let us have a look at the histogram. The histogram is hidden in the dialog, in the image dialog. You find it here, and here should be something more, but okay, we have three different ways of reaching the image dialog. First is here, the second one is here, click, and here dialogs would be, and the third one is simply right-clicking into the image, and I take that way most of the time. So dialogs, histogram. Here's the histogram. Pull that a bit bigger, and here you see the distribution of the different pixels of the different colors in the image. Digital images are quite a bit like painting by numbers. When you look into an image with enough magnification, you see a lot of little tiles, and each of these tiles has one color. It's called a pixel, and each color is defined by a number, by a value. And with the color picker I can show you these numbers here. This here is 134 for red, for green, for blue. You see red is in all the numbers here a bit less than green and blue are nearly or exactly the same value. Okay, painting by numbers with digital photography. In this image here I have numbers from we have a bit here. I think it will be this area here which is really dark, but I think it will not make it into the final image, and I think the real stuff starts around here at 80, around 80, and the brightest part of the image is here at around 200. And so we have from a room from 256, between 0 and 255, we use only here around 120, less than half the data that we could use. And for that, a lot of information here is lost. The GIMP uses only 8-bit data. There are a lot of other programs which use 16-bit data for the images, and there we could use the whole data from the raw image. It is in the work, but it will not make GIMP 2.4. Perhaps we'll have to wait for something like 2.5.8, 9, 10 or so before it happens that we can use 16-bit. I'll switch the instant this happens. Okay, let's have a look at the histogram of this image here. Just switch over, and here you see this data here and this data here hasn't been there, and the form of the curve is identical. You see it here. It is just spread out, and the problem I have to solve now is to make an image out of this here, which it gets compressed again but has more of the detail and has a bit more of contrast, like this one here. Before I start to work with this image, I want to show you a thing I found out about the Gimp user interface between the recording of the last issue and this sphere. When you press Tab into the image window, the toolbox here vanishes and all the other dialogues will vanish too. And I want to use that for getting the image as big as possible and then switching the toolbox on and off when I need it. And so I can see better what I'm doing here, and you can see it better also. I have to change something in the settings before. I go to File, Preferences, and here choose Window Management, and I choose here Keep Above for the toolbox and Keep Above for the docks, and I'll leave the rest as it is. After I have restarted the Gimp, it works as advertised. I can select here the tools from the toolbox and set all the options, and I can click back into the image and use Tab to switch it on and off. The first thing is to check if this image is level. There are no man-made structures, reliable man-made structures here, and so I can't use the method I showed you in the first issue of Meet the Gimp. But the surface of the water is a very good clue. But we don't see the horizon here, and these streaks on the water are also a bit misleading. This is not the horizon, it's a curve in the river, and so I have no real clue how to where to set a ruler and check this. I have just to rely on the eye. Not the worst way to do something in photography. And so I choose the Rotate tool, and I take now Normal, not Corrective, Normal, and I take as a preview the image and not the grid. Okay, click into the image, and let's have a look. Here it is. Here is the point, the center of rotation. Around that point, everything will be rotated. And here in the dialog is the angel about which the image will be rotated. I have a slider here, and I could do the correction with the slider, but you see it's a bit clunky, and I don't think I have to tilt the image that much. So let's go back to 0 here, and now I just use this dial here to tilt the image. I think it's a bit tilted to the right, and so I tilt it to the left. That is counterclockwise, and so I have to get here negative values. This is a bit tilted, a bit less tilted, and I think this is good. Or let's try another one. This is a bit too much, I think, and so I settle for 0.5 degrees. Pull this window in back and click on Rotate and wait for the result of this operation. Next step, cropping. I want to have in the image, of course, the ship, the water here, and these birds, the cormorants. I don't want to have in the image this stuff here, this stuff here, and I'm really not sure if I want to have this bank of the river in my image, and I think I'll get lost of this because I want to have later the darkest part of the image, the birds here, the next darkest part, the ship, and then the trees and the bank behind it, and then the water and the sky. And this here is simply pretty too dark. I want to go as near as possible to this area here. I want to include as much as possible of the river, but nothing of the bank. So I'll zoom into the image here, and the hotkey for that is Z. And zoom into it. Oh, here's another bird flying. And now I pull over a ruler and leave it here. Shift, Control and E, back to the image. And now I have to select the crop tool and set some options there. I want a fixed aspect ratio of 1:2, or is it 2:1? 1:2. Oh no, it's 2:1. I don't get that right. I want a little bit help from the rule of thirds. Now I will get some helpful lines. Okay, I'm set. And I start just here, and I pull it over to the other side of the window, right up to the border. And now I have my my maximum possible crop. I don't want to pull it over to the right, and let me look what is included here. Here is a flock of birds, a single bird up here, and click these rulers away. So, and here on the bottom is the water. I think it's not enough water in it, too much sky, and I can lose this single bird up there. This flock of birds has to stay into the image. Now I simply pull this down. I think this looks quite nice. I select the rule of thirds to check my work, and my eye isn't so bad. I divided the image into thirds, here, here, and here. A third water, a third trees, and a third sky. The ship is at one of the points of interest. This flock of bird on the second point of interest here, and this one is nice in 1/9 of the image. I think this will work, and I just click into it to crop, press Tab and Shift Control E to enlarge the image. I think this is a good starting point, and what to do with this image I'll show you in the next show. I hope you... Oh, before I say goodbye, a thing I should have done much earlier: saving. Save the image as fog.xcf. XCF is the extension of Gimp's own file format, and it contains a lot of helpful information from the Gimp, layers and undo information and so on. Okay, now it's time to say goodbye. I would be glad to hear something from you, and just drop me a mail or leave a comment on my blog, or go to the forum of Tips from the Top Floor and leave a comment there. Just now I'm more or less talking into a microphone with only 2 people I know who are listening to it. There are a lot more downloads, but I would like to hear from you what you like, what you didn't like, where you see possibilities of improvement, and so that I can decide how to go on. Goodbye, and I hope to see you next time around.